Hey, we are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Workshop Wednesday. So
Hello.
I am here. I know that a lot of you saw Barbara at Summit this year. Barbara, we're so happy that you're back and you're actually going to visit with us just a little bit more.
Yeah.
Um, I was excited. I told Lori that. I was sitting at the table when you spoke a little bit and having my own staging design business. I was like, why didn't I know this? I think I said that a dozen times, and Lori was just laughing at me. So,
I love
um,
it.
especially my favorite one is if you know me, I have a boat and I live on my boat in the summer, but I also worked on my boat a lot. So, um, we have a little restroom on our boat, and so I called that our conference room. It was our makeshift conference room. So when you said something about a boat, oh man, I was just taken back. I was like, man, I wish I would have known that. So,
Yeah.
okay, Barbara. Well, tell everybody, for those who did not get a chance to go to Summit this year, they're going to come back and watch this video. So, just tell them a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So I'm Barbara, founder of Your Tax Coach. If you don't follow us on Instagram, it's at Your Tax Coach. I would highly recommend. We drop daily tips and tricks on how to save in taxes for business owners. And so I really created this accounting firm because I was tired of working at crappy accounting firms that really didn't help their clients at all save any money in taxes and really didn't educate them anything about deductions, taxes, because a lot of times, as a business owner, you feel like you don't know what you don't know, and you just have a lot of anxieties around taxes or money. And typically, accountants, they're just quiet and they're like, oh, yeah, no, you can't do that. Or, they're just not very helpful. And so I wanted to start an accounting firm that all we did was have really, really good communication. We helped our clients feel at ease and then, of course, save them a ton of money. Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
You hear me now? Okay.
Yeah.
I would go to my accountant and I would, again, I love my accountant, but I would ask those questions, especially something pertaining to staging and design. Um, and I don't feel like there was a lot of knowledge there. And I felt like that was maybe a new realm or world that they weren't familiar with. And she would sometimes say she would have to get back with me. Um, and I just, as much as I, liked them on the flip side of things, my husband and I use them for our personal taxes. Um, I had so many questions. And you're right, you don't know what you don't know. And like I just said, I still didn't know because as I sat and listened to you, now that I'm out of being a business owner, I'm, hitting my head against the wall thinking, I wish I would have known that. So I
Yeah,
don't
exactly.
want our stagers and designers to say that. I don't want them to say, I wish I would have known that. As we all know, we are not a fan of taxes. And so any way that we can get help or tips, then that is going to be huge. So give us just a few of those awesome tips or insights that you gave us at Summit. Just a few of those things that you touched point on.
Yeah, I always tell people the first thing. So people are always like, what's like the number one tax advice you could give someone? And it's funny because it's not even really like a tax savings piece of advice, but the first thing would be you have to know your numbers. Like you have to know what your income and expenses are before you can even tax plan, because if you're already at a loss and you don't know that, then you don't have to do a lot of planning. Or on the flip side, if you have a ton of profit but you haven't done any planning yet, then you got to like kick it into high gear and figure out what you can do to lower your taxes. So, first thing I always tell people, make sure you have a good profit and loss statement and you know your actual numbers for the year. So, hopefully, anyone that's listening, it's the end of the year now. So, catch up on any bookkeeping that you don't have done. But when you are updating the books, you can look for these kind of tips and deductions as well. So a lot of times people forget about the home office deduction, right? We all work from home now, I feel like. And I still hear from clients like, isn't a home office a red flag? And maybe it was a red flag like in the 90s when hardly anyone worked from home and computers were like the size of big screen TVs now. But um take the home office deduction and make sure you maximize it. Like most of our clients get anywhere from 5 to 10,000 plus in home office deductions. And so look at that number from your return last year, because if you use like an automated software for your taxes, like TurboTax or things like that, it maxes out at 1,500 bucks. So even just the home office expense pays for an accountant to actually do your business returns. So home office is huge. And then, of course, any piece of tech that you use in your business. So even if you like maybe started your business in 2022, if you came into the business already having a computer and a phone and chargers and any iPads, things like that, you can contribute those to your business and take the cost of what they cost you back whenever you got them and take it as a deduction. And so all those little things add up where you might have thought, oh, well, I already had that. I didn't buy that this year, so it can't be a deduction. But you can actually contribute it as an asset and take those. So those are kind of some that people forget. But then also really thinking about anytime you purchase anything, like think, can I tie this to my business? So, for example, maybe you go to brunch with girlfriends. Well, can any of your girlfriends ever become a client of yours? Sure. Maybe one day they need staging or they need real estate help or anything like that. So talk business with them. They're going to ask you anyway because they're your friends. They're going to be like, hey, how's business? How's it going? How does it work? It cost if I did this or that. And so that's a business meal, even though maybe, it's brunch with the girls. If you're chatting business, take that as a business meal because eventually one day, if they're good friends, they're going to be clients of yours. And so really thinking about every time you swipe your card, can I tie it to my business? And so that's why we always use the term like write off your life. Figure out a way to like write off most of your life in your business. And so I would say those are like some of the top tips.
That's awesome. So, talking about home office, we do a lot of our stagers still work from home or have that home office. And then I like the tech part too. But what are some, um, let's stick with the home office. What are just a few things that we would be able to either write off or write a part of it off in a home office, for instance, if we're working from home?
Yeah, so like the basic deduction of it would be say you own your home, and you can do it either if you rent or own, but say you own your house, you would take a percentage of your mortgage interest, insurance, taxes, every utility that you pay for, so electricity, gas, trash, water, all the things. If you have a landscaper, a security system, a cleaning person, anything that you pay with around the house, you take a percentage of that based on how big your home office is of your house. And so I always tell people like try to use more square footage or the most that you can. So like for stagers, for example, if you do have any place where you're storing stuff, like maybe you use your garage, you can also add that into your square footage, or you have like storage closets, things like that, or a bathroom that's designated for your home office. So add up all that square footage, you'll take a percent. But then also, if you just like decorate your home office, so don't mind this, I'm in an RV right now. But if you decorate like a proper home office, anything you decorate with would also be a deduction. So you need, you get a new couch, you want pretty wallpaper, um, art on the wall, whatever art you wanted on your wall, all of that can be a home office. Every week in that home office, then the flowers would count, the candles, if you burn candles during the day, like anything to set the mood in your home office and any supplies there would also count. So don't think that just because it's flowers and you enjoy it personally, it can't also be a business expense.
That's good. So one thing that my accountant helped me with is, for instance, besides my phone, using my cell phone, you were talking tech, and so I'm going to touch point on tech. I also purchased an Apple Watch because I got emails and I was able to respond to text messages on my Apple Watch. My laptop for when I traveled, cords. There are things that my accountant helped me with, and she said absolutely that, a part of that is you use it for work, so we're able to use some of that. So what are maybe a couple of things that those are just things that we all use all the time, so it makes sense that we would do that. Is there anything I'm not thinking of when we say tech or tech things?
Yeah, so many, right? You could probably just look around wherever you're sitting and find a bunch of things. So like you mentioned, charging cables or even new phone cases, because every new phone we get is a different size. And so we need new cases. Or if people have the pop socket thingies on the back, or even magnets, so you can put it in your car. So when you're driving for work related things, you can get directions. iPads are a big one. What else tech related? Like you mentioned, an Apple Watch. If you get those, now there's those big all-in-one charging stations where it charges a bunch of things. Those would all count. Maybe you need one of those outlets that have um, extra outlets in there for you because you have to plug so many things in, all of that. Look around and, maybe you got a new mouse or a mouse pad or planners. I'm like a
I think we got froze. There we go.
Oh, are we back? Sorry about that.
There we go. It's okay.
But I was saying, I don't know if you got this, but any supplies, so planners or journals, pens, glitter pens. I'm a big I have to write things down, so I always love a good glitter pen. And so yeah, really just look around your house and whatever you use for your business, start writing that off whenever you go to Target or Staples or Costco and you're buying those items. But even I'm thinking this is less techy, but more home office things. I keep a coffee maker in my home office because I love coffee and I need it all day. And so you can write off your coffee maker and the coffee supplies related to what you use in your home office. Same with snacks too. So I always relate this to Google. If you went to Google's campus, they have pantries full of snacks for their employees. It's the same thing for you. Just because you have a home office doesn't mean you can't keep protein bars and trail mix or whatever in your office for you to snack on throughout the day.
That's good. Actually, I'm very happy about that right now. I'm going to stock my desk now with some snacks.
Yes. we all love snacks.
Right. So tell us what services do you offer? If somebody comes to Lori or I and they're like, we loved Barbara, we want to get connected, but what does she offer? What does that look like? So give us a little bit about that so that we know and we can start giving your name out to everybody.
Yeah, so most people come to us for tax strategy. So that's saving money in taxes. And that's usually for the business owner that is profiting 80,000 or more a year would be really, really good for strategy because you really want to save money on your tax bill. But everyone needs a tax return prepared. So even if you're a newbie business owner or even if you're at a loss, we can help with tax preparation and make sure your taxes are done correctly. And even if you are at a loss, we can keep track of them for future years where it would be more beneficial. We offer bookkeeping, so to keep your profit and loss in order. And then we also have a ton of people come to us. We call them business intensives. It's an hour call where you have free reign. Just ask us any tax question, business question, deductions, retirement, money, mindset, anything and everything. We're just all ears, all yours for an hour. And so a lot of newer business owners love that.
That's okay. So we have stagers and designers both, and now we're starting to dip into our real estate agents in the industry. What, for instance, for me as a stager designer, if I was around the six figures a year and I needed that service from you, what does that look like? What does that cost? Now that I know kind of what it is that you give, what does that cost, and or for the services and the accounting both? I would love to have the tips, but I would also love to have like the bookkeeping and the services as well.
Yeah, so strategy is typically 2K a month for the first year. After that, you don't have to keep paying for strategy. They're your strategies to keep. So we obviously want to make sure you're going to save way more in taxes than what our fees are. So we always let you know ahead of time what your tax savings will be. So reach out to us. We'll look at your tax returns and see where you're missing either deductions or different loopholes and strategies, or maybe you're the wrong entity type. So we always let you know ahead of time for strategy. And then for tax prep, it depends again how they're structured, if it's like an LLC or if it's an S corp, but anywhere between like $1,500 and $4,500 would be tax prep. And monthly bookkeeping starts at $600 a month, and that's to get your profit and loss and balance sheet reconciled each month. So those, I can't give you like super specific, but those are kind of like the rounded out numbers for all the things.
Yeah, and that just gives people an idea of what that would cost, and if they wanted to start using you,
Yeah.
which I would have. I mean, I wish I would have known. You don't know until you know, and again, I would have maybe spent about the same amount of money, but I have a feeling my return would have been bigger, and so there's me kicking myself for that. Um, so give us an idea, like we're coming up on the end of the year. People are really looking at numbers right now. I always did in December. I looked at, donations, just trying to finish my year strong so that come tax time, I had everything in order. I was getting things ready for my accountant. I had a ton of subs I used, so they were getting all my 1099s ready. I was, working with them, getting all that done. What tips do you have for the stagers designers who were like me? I mean, we're kind of the mad rush the last few weeks of December trying to get things done for the end of the year.
Yeah, so kind of what I started with, make sure you're catching up on your bookkeeping so you know your numbers. Um, get those W-9s out to your contractors. So like you were mentioning, in order to give your contractors a 1099 at the end of the year, they have to fill out a W-9. And so make sure you send those out. And pro tip for next year, don't pay anyone any money until you've gotten back the W-9. So like right now, if you're going back, you're kind of sending it to them and you're waiting on it. But for future, don't pay anyone until they give you your W-9. That way you already have it on file and you're ready. And then great thing to mention as well, charitable deductions. I mean, this is like the season of giving. And so it do have the extra cash flow to bless someone. As long as you donate to a 501c3, which is a charity, then you'll get a deduction on your tax return. Things like GoFundMe and things like that are typically not a tax deduction, unfortunately. So like if you have a friend going through a hard time and they have a GoFundMe, I mean, give if you want to give, but know that it won't be a tax deduction. And then really looking at future income and expenses. So if you want to play with your income and expense number, you could either accelerate your income if you want more of it this year. So send out your invoices early. Or if you're like, wait, I don't want any more income on my tax return, don't send out the invoice until January 1st, right? But then same with expenses, look at what your monthly expenses are or what you think you're going to be paying for next year. And if you need more deductions, pay them early, because you can pay your expenses up to 1 year early and still get a deduction for it. For example, if you rent an office space, you could pay that rent up to 12 months in advance. If you already know you're going to be in a mastermind group or a business group and you have to pay monthly or yearly, maybe you pay that in December. A lot of our clients, we've already had people pay for their tax prep and strategy for next year because they just want the deduction now, rather than, if you think about it, if you pay any deduction January 1st or later, you don't get that deduction until 2024 when you file your tax return. So it's a long time to wait for that deduction. So things like events, like the HSRA event, you can buy that ticket now. I know I bought some tickets on Black Friday and Cyber Monday for events that I knew I was going to next year. And so you can, even though the events are next year, you bought them this year. So you get to take the deductions. So really look at future expenses as well. And the more you can get on your tax return for this year, the less taxable income you'll have, the less taxes you'll pay.
I love that you said that. That's something that I did ahead of time. Like I paid my, I didn't want as much income as expenses. I wanted my taxes to be better. So I paid like my rent a year ahead of time. And I paid for the entire year. It's looking ahead or looking forward, which I love that. And so again, I love that you said buying tickets, pre-buying tickets, our little plug. We do have on hsraevents.com, we have all of our 2023, I started to say 2024. I'm going way ahead. 2023 events are out. And so we have tickets to the masterminds, tickets to HSRA. And you're right. It is good to go ahead and buy those, have that expense there. And it's going to help you. It's going to help you on your taxes this year. So I love that you said that. That's something that I was always mindful of. And I always paid my bills, even though I knew I had income that was supposed to come in, paid my bills that were due January, February, in December before the end of the year. So I love that. I feel better. I was doing something right. I don't.
Yeah.
I still wish I would have known a lot more though. So we're going to wrap up, Barbara, but tell us, is there anything else that you want to add in as far as what you guys do, your services, taxes, end of the year, beginning of next year? Any insights since you're in the accounting world that we should be warned of or beware of?
Yeah, the biggest change I would say for business owners from this year to next year is you've probably heard of you buy a vehicle.
Oh, we may have lost her for a minute. This is going to be good. I don't want her to go anywhere. I want to know. We'll wait just a minute and see if she comes back. I just heard buy a vehicle, everybody. So now I'm in. Hang with me for just a minute. If we lose her, then I'll find out. And I promise I'll come back and let you guys know. Oh, Barbara. Okay. It was the best part. We're going to wrap it up, everybody. So thank you for being here. I will find out from Barbara what she was going to say, how to finish it strong. We'll put it in comments. We'll let you guys know. So I hope everybody has a wonderful week. Thank you, Barbara. I know you'll see this again. I will talk to everybody soon. See you later.